What if everything you know about being human, your language, your family, your dreams, even the device you're watching this video on, started with a tiny organism floating in an ancient ocean billions of years ago? What if the story of humanity is not just the story of civilization, but the story of survival against impossible odds? Long before cities, nations, and technology existed, there was only a dangerous world filled with darkness, fire, predators, and uncertainty. No houses, no schools, no governments, no history. Only life fighting desperately to survive. This is the extraordinary story of how a planet of molten rock gave birth to intelligent beings capable of exploring space, creating art, and questioning their own existence. This is the story of human evolution. Chapter 1. A World Without Life. More than 4.5 billion years ago, Earth looked nothing like the world we know today. There were no forests, oceans, animals, or humans. The young planet was a violent place covered with molten lava, toxic gases, and constant volcanic eruptions. Massive asteroids frequently crashed into the surface. Temperatures were extreme, life seemed impossible. But slowly, over millions of years, Earth began to cool. Water vapor condensed into rain. That rain continued for thousands of years, eventually forming the planet's first oceans, and deep within those ancient waters, something remarkable happened. Simple chemicals began interacting with one another. Tiny molecules combined and reorganized themselves. Eventually, one of the greatest events in history occurred. Life appeared. The first living organisms were microscopic single-celled creatures. They were incredibly simple. No eyes, no brains, no bones. Yet these tiny organisms represented the beginning of every living thing that would ever exist. Including you. Chapter 2. Life learns to evolve. For hundreds of millions of years, life remained simple. But evolution never stops. Generation after generation, small changes accumulated. Some organisms became better at finding food. Others became better at surviving harsh environments. The most successful traits were passed on. This process, known as natural selection, slowly transformed life on Earth. Eventually, more complex cells evolved. Then multicellular organisms appeared. Instead of existing as single cells, life forms began working together as larger organisms. The oceans became filled with strange creatures unlike anything seen today. Ancient fish emerged. Some developed protective shells. Others evolved powerful jaws. Predators and prey appeared for the first time. Life was becoming increasingly complex. The evolutionary race had begun. Chapter 3. The Great Move onto Land. For millions of years, life existed only in water. But eventually, some creatures began exploring the world above the surface. The land was empty. No animals, no competition, no predators. It was a world filled with opportunity. Certain fish evolved stronger fins and primitive lungs. Gradually, they gained the ability to survive both in water and on land. These pioneers became the first amphibians. Over time, reptiles evolved from these early land animals. Unlike amphibians, reptiles could live entirely on land. They spread across the planet and adapted to different environments. Some became small hunters. Others grew larger and stronger. Then evolution produced one of the most successful groups of animals in Earth's history. The dinosaurs. Chapter 4. The Age of Giants. About 230 million years ago, dinosaurs appeared. For the next 180 million years, they would dominate the planet. The dinosaur world was incredibly diverse. Some species were peaceful plant eaters. Others were terrifying predators. Massive long-necked dinosaurs stretched toward the tops of ancient trees. Armored species defended themselves with spikes and thick plates. Powerful hunters stalked their prey across vast landscapes. Perhaps the most famous predator was Tyrannosaurus rex. With enormous jaws and bone-crushing bite force, it stood among the most formidable hunters that ever lived. But dinosaurs didn't rule only the land. The skies belonged to giant flying reptiles. The oceans were controlled by enormous marine predators. Every ecosystem had its rulers. For millions of years, dinosaurs appeared unstoppable. Yet even the greatest empire can fall. Chapter 5. The Day Everything Changed. Approximately 66 million years ago, disaster struck. A gigantic asteroid nearly 6 miles wide slammed into Earth. The impact released unimaginable energy. Shockwaves traveled across continents. Wildfires erupted around the globe. Dust and debris filled the atmosphere. Sunlight disappeared, temperatures dropped dramatically, plants died, food chains collapsed, species that had ruled the planet for millions of years suddenly faced extinction. One by one, the dinosaurs vanished. The age of giants was over. But while many species disappeared, some survived. And among the survivors were small mammals. Tiny creatures hiding in burrows and forests. Animals that had spent millions of years living in the shadows. Their time had finally come. Chapter 6. Rise of the Mammals. With dinosaurs gone, mammals rapidly expanded into new environments. Some adapted to life in trees. Others evolved to run across open plains. Many became larger and more intelligent. The world was changing once again. Among these mammals emerged a remarkable group called primates. Primates possessed unique advantages. Their hands could grasp objects. Their eyes faced forward, allowing better depth perception. Their brains were larger compared to their body size. These adaptations made them excellent climbers and problem solvers. As forests changed and environments shifted, some primates began spending more time on the ground. This simple change would alter the future forever. Chapter 7. Standing upright. Walking on two legs may seem ordinary today. But in evolutionary history, it was revolutionary. Early human ancestors gradually evolved the ability to stand upright. This freed their hands. Now they could carry food, transport tools, protect their young, and interact with their environment in entirely new ways. Their brains also continued growing. They became more curious, more adaptable, more social. Living in groups improved survival. Cooperation became increasingly important. Communication became more sophisticated. The foundations of human society were beginning to form. Chapter 8. The Tool Makers. Around 2 million years ago, a species known as Homo erectus emerged. These early humans were different from their ancestors. They walked upright. They traveled long distances. Most importantly, they learned to create tools. Sharp stone blades, primitive axes, cutting instruments, hunting weapons. For the first time, humans were actively shaping their environment rather than simply adapting to it. Their intelligence was increasing. Their confidence was growing. And then they made one of the most important discoveries in human history. Fire. Chapter 9. Humanity's greatest discovery. Fire changed everything. It provided warmth during cold nights. It protected humans from predators. It allowed food to be cooked. Cooked food was easier to digest and provided more energy. This extra energy supported further brain development. Fire also transformed social life. People gathered around flames after sunset. They shared experiences, planned hunts, taught survival skills, and perhaps for the first time, told stories. These gatherings strengthened social bonds and accelerated cultural development. Humanity was becoming more than just another animal species. It was becoming something entirely unique. Chapter 10. The Birth of Art and Imagination. Eventually, humans began expressing themselves in new ways. Inside caves across Europe, Africa, and Asia, ancient artists painted animals, hunting scenes, and mysterious symbols. These paintings reveal something extraordinary. Humans were no longer focused solely on survival. They were thinking, imagining, creating, dreaming. Art became one of the first signs of complex thought. It demonstrated memory, planning, symbolism, and emotion. The human mind was evolving into something remarkable. A mind capable of creating civilizations. Chapter 11. The Rise of Homo Sapiens. Roughly 300,000 years ago, our species appeared. Homo Sapiens. Modern humans. Compared to earlier human species, Homo Sapiens possessed highly advanced cognitive abilities. Language became increasingly sophisticated. Knowledge could be shared across generations. Communities grew larger. Innovation accelerated. Humans learned agriculture, built settlements, created governments, developed science, invented writing, constructed cities, and eventually transformed the entire planet. From stone tools to smartphones, from cave paintings to artificial intelligence. The journey had been extraordinary. Conclusion. Today, humanity stands at the peak of a story billions of years in the making. Every invention, every civilization, every achievement, can be traced back through an unbroken chain of evolution stretching to the first microscopic organisms that lived in Earth's ancient oceans. The story of human evolution is more than a scientific explanation. It is a story of survival, adaptation, curiosity, and endless possibility. Because before we became builders of civilizations, explorers of space, and creators of technology, we were simply survivors. And perhaps understanding where we came from is the first step toward understanding where we are going next. If you enjoyed this journey through the history of human evolution, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments, what do you think was the most important moment in human evolution?